The GEEK Files, 2026, January 25th, Burnaby. A bit of aviation terminology, flying the curve. So everyone's seen pictures of the NASA astronauts practicing in a plane for being weightless, quote unquote weightless. It's called flying the curve. So if you fly a parabolic curve upside down, starting from the top and going down, you can actually make the airplane accelerate at the speed of gravity, so everything inside the airplane floats. So it's you get this sense of weightlessness. And you can fly the whole curve, the whole upside down parabolic curve. So you wind up coming up weighing a G, and then you crest over the top of the curve and come down and pretend you're weightless and do whatever weightless stuff you want. The higher you are, the longer you can feel weightless, but to a point, because you're accelerating at this 9.81 meters per second squared. So at some point the aircraft has to start to pull out, and you need room to do that before you break the wings off. So I don't think I drove. I know I rode in a vehicle up to Windigo Lake from Sioux Lookout, because I remember stopping at Weebenville because I was looking at the DC-3 that was sitting on its left wing. But I don't think I drove my car up, because at that time I had a 69 Chevelle Malibu, two-door, blue two-door with black vinyl roof, bench seat, 256. Yeah. Oh, but to have that back. And I remember flying back. Now, the Central Air had a 206 on floats. And the 206 wound up in Windigo to do two things. Number one, to fly a snowmobile into a reserve before winter. And so you can actually take all the seats except for the pilot seats out of a 206 and fit a snowmobile inside. And then they wanted me, since there was only going to be one otter up there flying intermittently because of the weather, they wanted me back. So the pilot flew the snowmobile up into whatever reserve he was flying it into, then came back and got me, and we're flying back. And it's boring. Like, I've seen some really amazing things working in aviation, but mainly it's pretty boring because pilots get paid to move stuff. So the more stuff they move, the more they get paid above their base salary. So they're not interested in doing whatever little sightseeing trip. They want to go point A to point B, point A to point B as fast as they can to get that job done, to get to the next job. But when it's just a fun flight, point A to point B, it gets, interesting. Pilots are basically like firemen. They're extremely highly trained for emergency situations, because flying an airplane is actually really easy. It's the emergencies that you have to be, trained for. That they're really intelligent. They're bored out of their mind, waiting for these emergencies that rarely happen. Aviation is extremely safe. And when you get really intelligent people doing really boring stuff, things can go off the rails pretty quickly. So we're flying back, and the pilot looks at me and says, I want to play catch the pencils for beer, because we're going to stop in Pickle Lake. And Pickle Lake at that time had a really great aviation bar. It's burned down since then, but it was there for decades and decades and had pictures and memorabilia. And it was an amazing bar. That also let you play body shuffleboard on the shuffleboard table, which is basically you take the pucks off and you slide people down. Anyway, I said, what's that? And he said, well, we're going to put a pencil on the dash and then fly the curve and see if you can catch it. You know, whoever can catch it, you know, best 3 out of 5, you know, the other guy, whoever loses, buys the beers. What are you talking about? And so he did it. He put his pencil on the dash, got up at some altitude, put his pencil on, and flew the curve, and the pencil floats up, and then it starts to float back because we're falling faster than the airplane's going faster than the pencil can go, and he catches it in his mouth and he says, "That's one for me." And so we play catch the pencil on the way back. I don't remember who won or who lost. I don't even really matter. I think we just laughed our asses off because it was just so much fun. Yeah, welcome to aviation. So making appropriate decisions. You don't make any money, but you get good stories.